Hey guys, Greg here at the Vinyl Rundown, talking to you about the S400 speakers from Buchardt Audio in Denmark. And I'm going to do probably maybe 2 videos about my experience with these speakers. There's one of them. Just ordered these and I'm about halfway through my 30-day free home trial. And I'm going to talk to you about why I ordered these. And I shopped for a long time looking for speakers that would meet my needs. And why did I choose the Buchardt among all the speakers that are out there? There's a lot of great bookshelf speakers or monitor speakers out there in this price range. This is kind of the higher end of the price range that I was looking at. But this is the most hyped up, talked about audio product that I've seen in years. There are so many reviews of this thing online that are getting tons of views, and a lot of great reviews and little controversy, really not that much. But first of all, I love the idea of the company, and Z Reviews called it the anti-establishment speaker. It's a speaker that is disrupting the audio world just a little bit by its direct-to-consumers model. There's a lot of other companies doing direct-to-consumer marketing, which supposedly is a great way to save money on speaker because of the markups that your local boutique audio shops have. And I wish those guys luck, but it's really hard to compete in this day and age with online and China manufacturing and all that stuff. That's maybe a topic for another video. But why I chose these is partly because of all the hype that I succumbed to, and these reviews just said I was in for something that was just an amazing experience. And then some of the reviews had a few things in them that were a little bit, well, I don't want to say disappointing, but changed my tune just a little bit. So, first of all, this is my vinyl storage room. It's not my main listening room, and this is not where these speakers would go. These speakers were bought for my bedroom, and this is the 3rd pair of speakers I've had in my bedroom. By far the most expensive and nicest. So I just dragged them out here into the big vinyl room so you guys could take a look at them. And they look great, and that's one of the reasons I bought them. They come in black or white, but the drivers are black in any event. So black or white, or there's a smoky wood oak look also that I think costs more money. But the woofer and the tweeter and the tweeter waveguide are both black. I came very close to getting white because they look great on camera, but I was replacing black speakers in my bedroom and didn't want to shake up the look of the bedroom. I do have a wife that lives in there with me too, and she's nice enough to let me put any speakers in my bedroom. But this is not the main listening room. This is the main vinyl room because where all the vinyl storage is, but it's got bookshelf speakers and very inexpensive vintage equipment, and we're listening to some old jazz record that is probably not going to get any copyright hits because they probably only sold 3 copies. So ordering a speaker from Denmark from a company that you haven't done any business with, it's not very well known, it doesn't have US distribution, that's a little intimidating, hitting that buy now button for something that costs over $1,000. And I will give them credit that their website is great. And the ordering process went great, and I had some questions and problems with my credit card, and the president of the company, Mads Buchardt, contacted me multiple times, very quickly, very responsive. He had good suggestions on how to resolve the ordering problems that I was having. And the problems really had to do with my credit card. If you've got good security on your credit card, and suddenly it appears that somebody in Denmark is buying expensive stuff, they're going to contact you right away and question those purchases with a security alert. So that's fine. That's normal. That was the only hiccup I had in the ordering process. I was also blown away how quickly these came to me. I ordered them on a Tuesday late at night, so it was already Wednesday morning in Denmark, and they were on my doorstep the next Monday at about 3 o'clock. And we had to work with FedEx a couple of times. I had to call FedEx to go over some paperwork, and when you're ordering something like this overseas, I didn't realize that you had to fill out customs forms. 1 form, well, maybe 2 forms. FedEx helped me with that on the phone very quick. We went over the paperwork Friday. Monday morning it showed up very quick. I was just shocked how quick the process went and how helpful FedEx was, and it includes free shipping to you, and if you want to send them back within your 30-day trial period, you can send them back with free shipping. So I give them really high marks on the ordering process and the helpfulness of their customer service, and FedEx was very cooperative. So anyway, some of the other speakers I've looked at and some of the other reviews that I paid close attention to that were influential in me getting this done. Sean at Zero Fidelity. He has a great channel. He's way more knowledgeable than me, and he did a really nice review on this speaker, which really caught my attention. He checked all the boxes that I was looking for. But then he did something that was a little bizarre, which was after I ordered these speakers, the Friday that I was on the phone with FedEx, literally I got home from work after talking to FedEx, got home and watched the video that he dropped on August 23rd, where he retracted part of his earlier review, and that was a little unsettling to me. He still says it's a great speaker and one of the best values in monitor bookshelf speakers that you can get, but he retracted the specific part of the review where he talked about comparing these to the Joseph Audio Pulsars. Initially he said these things compete well with the Joseph Audio Pulsars. That's a $7,000 monitor, which I've heard multiple times at audio shows, and I've met and spoke to Jeff Joseph, the creator of the speakers, and I actually have Joseph Audio full-size speakers in my main listening room hooked up to my nice gear, Conrad Johnson and tubes and Threshold, and really nice stuff in the other room. My main system, again, this is for my secondary system, for my bedroom system. So anyway, he retracted that part of the review. He said, you know what, I'm retracting the part where I said compares good to Joseph Audio. I shouldn't have said that. There's no way a $2,000 speaker. I didn't want my family to know how much these freaking things cost. They don't watch YouTube. They're over $1,000, let's say that. He said there's no way a $7,000 speaker can compare with a speaker that's between $1,000 and $2,000. And that's sort of true, but it's sort of not true. And the difference is, again, the distribution channel, the distribution model. These are sold direct versus the Joseph Audios, which are sold through dealer distribution. If this speaker had to be sold through dealer distribution, I imagine it would cost $5,000. You're paying for two middlemen, the distribution and the audio shop, the boutique hi-fi local shop. Those guys have to mark up everything. They have to double the price to make their margins to stay in business, and that's cool. I support those guys as much as I can, even though they're typically not very supportive to the average person who is not huge income. But that's the reality of it. Is if I'm buying a speaker that costs, let's say, $1,000 direct to consumer, I expect that same speaker would have cost $2,000 had I bought it through an audio shop. So I just wanted to clarify the logic behind his correction. Yes, a $2,000 speaker could sound like a $7,000 speaker when you account for the fact that there's different margins. And then what Sean did in his review is he put in the fine print that, hey, I wasn't paid for this review, but I was a consultant for Buchardt Audio. So what's that all about? Sean has a great channel. I trust him. I trust his honesty, but we have to be just a little more forward in our disclosures. Same thing happened with Andrew Robinson. He did a great review of the speaker. He raved about it June of 2019, which was right when I was in the middle of shopping for speakers. And he said, this is one of the best speakers I've ever heard. And he specifically pointed out the imaging, which I'm a big fan of imaging and sound staging. I don't need the most bass in the world. I don't need the most revealing tweeter in the world. I want a good three-dimensional soundscape. And he gave it great marks on all that. His review video looked so good that Buchardt used it in their Facebook ads. And I'm looking at this thing going, this is so slick. To me, it looks like and feels like a paid-for commercial ad. And I said, if this is not a sponsored ad, you guys should state that in the ad, because it looks too slick and professional. And he responded to me personally and said, oh, I didn't get paid for this. I definitely didn't get paid for that. I said, well, instead of telling me, you should just have Buchardt place that into the ad itself. This is not a paid spokesman. Well, if you look at the fine print on Andrew's review in 2019, he puts a scroll in the bottom of his review saying, Buchardt sent me these speakers, but it did not influence my review. I believe that, but again, it's very fine print, and y'all need to be more forthcoming about your relationships with these audio companies. You know, I trust his review. I think he's honest, but you never know what's really going on subliminally inside someone's mind when they make a recommendation for something that also shows a conflict of interest. It reminds me a little bit of the boss who hires a secretary and says, you know what, I hired her because of her typing, her wonderful typing skills, and her blonde hair and her low-cut blouses had nothing to do with my decision to hire her. Well, you might believe that, but we have no way of untangling all those facts in your brain. So I'm here to tell you that I paid full retail price for these speakers, and I'm still in my 30-day return period. So far I believe I'm probably going to keep them. But the other review I'm going to point out to you guys, a guy who, like me, paid full price, Nemo Propaganda. He has a small YouTube channel. This guy looks like he buys a ton of equipment. He said this Buchardt is his new reference speaker, and he's listened to a lot of speakers that I was considering on my short list. The Ravel concertas, whatever you call them, and the Minuet, or the Silverline Minuets, which I also considered strongly, partly because of his review. But I don't like their form factor. They're a little too deep for my room, for my bedroom. So specifically, why did I choose this speaker? Sound quality is certainly very important, but you can't hear them until you get them in your house. So you got to make that decision before you hear them. So the form factor is correct for my bedroom. My bedroom is not that big. They have to be close to the wall. I wanted a speaker that was kind of the same general dimensions as what I'd been living with before, like the Pioneers from Andrew Jones. I had those in there for a while. Didn't work with my small receiver. So the form factor, shape, size, they look great. The tweeter design is really unusual. They can be close to the wall. So here's an important thing I neglected to point out. A lot of mini bookshelf speakers are ported in the back, which means they're blowing out a lot of air in the back, and they tend to have sort of a resonant hump, a sort of a boominess, especially when they get closer to the wall, and they become very sensitive to the distance to the wall. So this is not an open back speaker, but it's not a sealed speaker. It's kind of a hybrid, kind of in the middle. It is a passive radiator. Maybe I need to show you the passive radiator. All right, I turned the speaker around so you could see the back and the passive radiator. The thing looks like a big woofer, and it's actually larger than the woofer itself, but it's totally passive. It has a moving mass to it, but it's not connected to a driver. It just allows the sound pressure to move it in and out. So it's kind of a good compromise between a open ported speaker, which tends to have a lot of resonant peak, and a sealed speaker, which might have tighter, flatter bass but less efficiency. So this design allows you to put it closer to the wall. You're not going to hear the humpy, bumpy resonance like you will with a ported speaker. And then the binding posts are among the best I've ever seen. They're not really the conventional 5-way binding posts that you're used to seeing, but they're longer, so you can really get your hands on them. You don't need a tool. And I really think they're super high quality. And this is a metal backplate instead of plastic for less resonance. Okay, here's the downside of these speakers, the only downside from the design point of view. And again, this is not my full audio review. I may do that later on once I've lived with them for longer, but there's one thing that I was surprised about these speakers with. Pretty tight, pretty resonant and boxy sounding down here. I'm really surprised that they sound boxy. The top sounds pretty tight, but the sides sound like they're a little boxier and more resonant than I would have expected for a speaker at this price. Does that affect the sound negatively? I can't really say at this point. Maybe we'll do some testing and see if there's a resonant peak, whatever note that is. What is that? Is that a B flat? I don't know. Just kidding. So another thing I want to point out is I'm a vinyl person. I listen to a lot of vinyl records. I have CDs also. I have not yet embraced online streaming and Spotify and all that stuff. I might get into it. Don't have the equipment yet. But virtually all the reviews that I've pointed out to you so far, Sean and Andrew Robinson and Z Reviews and Nemo, all these guys are really not vinyl guys, so they're not listening to vinyl. Everything that they're listening to tends to be more modern than my taste. They listen to maybe some EDM and some hip hop and some electronic stuff, maybe some classic rock, but I'm a lot of vinyl, a lot of jazz, some rock. So your speaker choice and your equipment choice all has to sort of meld together and work with each other. I've been listening to mostly CDs on this thing because I have it hooked up in the other room where I'm trying to break them in. So far I like these speakers a lot. The jury is still out as to whether I'm going to keep them. I'm leaning towards keeping them. I probably will, but I have to also test them out with higher quality equipment. The equipment I'm listening to in my bedroom is just a basic AV receiver because that's what happens to be in there. But if and when I hook them up to the really good equipment, the Conrad Johnson and the Threshold and the Tube preamp, they're going to go from really good to really great, I'm hoping. Alright guys, I will probably do another follow-up video to this, so please subscribe to the channel. Let me know your comments, and if you like hearing about records and CDs as opposed to just equipment, you might want to tune into my channel because that's what I talk about quite a bit. Alright guys, thanks for watching.